On this week's episode, we are talking all about the new Marvel movie, Black Widow, that came out about a week ago. There are going to be spoilers, so if you have not seen Black Widow, we would definitely recommend that you go and check that out before you come and listen to this episode, especially if you are concerned about spoilers for the film. However, we had a lot of fun talking about it. We talked about whether or not we enjoyed it and how it was being back in theaters for this movie, and if this means that we're returning to theaters and in general. So you'll definitely want to catch that. Plus, if you listen to last week's episode, the rivalry between Karl Urban and Val really picks up in a strange and new way this time, and you'll definitely want to find out the details about that. Make sure that you're subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you like this video, make sure you like it and comment so that others can find it. Share it with your friends. And make sure that when you subscribe, you click that little notifications bell so you always get alerted when a new video drops from Movies That Make Us. If you're listening to this audio version, make sure you go to whatever podcast app you prefer to listen to and subscribe to our show so that you always know when a new episode comes out. And that's usually Monday mornings. So you definitely want to make sure that you're getting that subscription so you never miss a great episode of Movies That Make Us. And follow us on all the social media. Instagram, we are at Movies That Make Us. Twitter, we are at Movies Make Us. And Facebook, you can find us at Movies That Make Us. So check us out in all the places. And coming very soon, we will be at FanX in Salt Lake in September. And so you'll definitely want to stay tuned to hear some details about some of the panels that we'll be on. In the meantime, we are talking all about Black Widow. We're talking all about family. We're talking about being reunited. And it feels so good all month long on Movies That Make Us. And in this episode that's starting right now. Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
We had a little moment before we started recording.
I was
Val and
gazing
Tracy
deep into Val's eyes.
He said he was just going to look at me the whole time. And I'm like, are you? Are you going to look at me the whole time?
It got pretty intense for a minute.
I will always win at a staring competition. It's this eyebrow. It helps me every time.
I am powerless when
my
it comes
left
to
eyebrow. It has a mind of its own. It does
Yeah.
whatever it wants. I've stopped trying to even control it.
It's Italian.
Is it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think Rox is Italian too? Just like that one part of him that's Italian?
Could be.
Okay.
I haven't thought of that, but I'll ponder.
Well, this is the content people come for. Movies That Make Us. Italian eyebrows all around.
We're back at the Megaplex.
We are back at the Megaplex. We'll yes, we're back at the Megaplex.
We're at the Megaplex.
Jake has a hard time lying. If you ever want to play poker with anyone and win, play with Jake. One, I don't even think he knows how to play poker.
Yeah.
But two, he's not good at lying at all.
If I play poker, it's like that, like a little kid, when they're like putting
11.
the cards down and they're like, "I win."
It's
that
like
would be
Ocean's
me.
11,
Or it's like
where
one
he's
of the,
Brad Pitt's like, no, you want to fold. Do I? Yes, you want to fold.
or it's like,
Yeah.
what does it mean if I have 3 kings and like 2 jacks?
Is that okay?
Is that okay? Should I keep that hand?
Now
Everybody folds.
go fish. I know how to do that one.
Old maid.
Old Maid, yeah. I always
That's
say
a
that.
horrible name for a game.
It really is.
Can we
It was a
cancel
different
Old Maid?
time.
I know I'm not into the cancel thing, but it's just a stupid name.
Yeah.
I
Old
think
Maid.
the
Let's play.
lack of
Like, it doesn't even
popularity
sound
made
like fun.
Yeah.
Do you want to play Old Maid? Do I?
Yes. Sign
That
me
sounds
up.
like the best afternoon I've ever thought of. Let's go play some Old Maid.
Do I?
Do I? Boy, howdy. Let me tell you. Yep, Old Maid and Boy Howdy, those are 2 things nobody says anymore. And we are killing it. We are
Oh
totally,
my gosh, who started that?
I don't know.
It just is awful because it's like, yeah, cold as ice, but also am I shooting up?
I don't know.
I feel like if
To
you
me,
were
I feel like it's gotta
if
be
you
some
were to
kind
do
of
that
drug
in the
reference,
80s,
yeah.
then
it's
yeah.
like
Well, yeah, you do it in the 80s, and depending on where you are in Hollywood, they're
The
going to
other
help you
thing
out.
also is stupid, but I'm so glad like all the kids are done with is like this thing that they were doing over their eyes.
I didn't even
Yeah.
see
They
that.
were like all the girls when my daughter was younger. I'm being attacked
Yeah, I don't know
by
what's
Karl
happening.
Urban fly. He heard,
Oh my goodness.
he heard all about me.
So it's an average size fly, is that what it is? Since we've established she's neither small nor large.
She can establish her dominance very easily.
Yeah, it's just an average size fly. Yeah, I missed this thing. I don't know that I saw
Yeah, there was
that.
like a thing where like every time they took a picture, they would put their fingers like over their eye.
I feel like that must have come from like Korea, because like
Most
Korean
everything
culture is
does.
really
I'm pretty
big
sure
right
this
now.
is
Yeah,
also
probably.
that just
Probably.
sounds
And this is the heart thing that they do. They don't do this. It's this.
I don't
It's the Korean pop culture thing. Yeah. That's it.
am I doing it right? It feels weird.
I don't know. My daughters taught me. That's what I blame it all on. It's not because I'm a
I
huge
feel
BTS
I've
fan.
never felt so old in my life than I do having this conversation
I
right
know
now.
this is making. Yeah.
I'm going to be 42 this year, and right now I feel like I'm 85.
I'm so bummed because I just learned about slaps, and now slaps is not a thing.
I mean, you could
That's-
still have it be a thing, but all of Karl Urban,
This
oh
is
my
like-
gosh.
Oh wow.
Best episode ever.
Karl Urban fly.
Forget my.
We're putting that on a
forget the
t-shirt.
Mike Pence
Attacked by a
fly.
Karl Urban fly.
Until now, the Mike Pence fly had been the most famous, and now
Nope, it's all
It
about
was
the Karl
Karl Urban.
fly.
That was Karl
Yep,
Urban.
It was just Karl Urban. It wasn't a fly. It's Karl Urban is the fly.
that's true. That's true.
Coming to a theater near you. Karl Urban is the fly. Forget Jeff Goldblum. Now it's Karl Urban.
It's Karl Urban.
It's a totally different kind of fly when it's Karl Urban.
But
Yeah.
with the Megaplex, I'm having an icy. 'cause
Ooh,
it's hot
fancy.
outside. I'm all
You've got your
Coke Zero.
Coke
Nice.
Zero.
I like-
Karl Urban fly's coming over to me now.
he just wants his screen time. Get out of here, Karl Urban. Go
He wants to
home.
be center stage.
Go
He's
home.
tired of being the sidekick.
Too bad. You picked all those roles, man. That's on you.
Listen, everybody wants to be Éomer until Aragorn comes in the room, and then it's like, nah.
Does
Exactly.
everybody want to be Aramir?
No, nobody does.
Well, everybody
Really?
in Rohan, maybe, until Aragorn shows up. And then it's like, nah, Éomer's sloppy seconds.
It's like that meme where it's the boyfriend and the girlfriend and the
Yeah.
new person.
Yeah, Rohan's all about Éomer until Aragorn shows up.
Right.
we
We
we're
promise
actually
we
going to
have
talk about
the
Black
movie
Widow
that we're going
today.
to talk about today, and we are going to do it.
But it's really weird because we are at the Valley Fair Megaplex and they have this big commons area where a lot of people are probably headed to see Black Widow today. So we have to kind of be incognito as we talk about this.
The good news is, I will say this about the story of Black Widow. There's not any like huge reveal in the
Mhm.
movie that we're going to spoil accidentally
Right.
or on purpose.
Right.
Like, because it's not.
It's not. Yeah, like I tell everyone is that if you're going to see a Captain America movie or an Iron Man movie, she's not that kind of superhero.
Right.
So you're not going to get that feeling. It's more of a Born Identity movie
It's a spy
with a
movie.
better actress, honestly. Like I'm not
Yeah,
again.
Matt Damon is not a good actress.
No. Matt Damon's a great actor, but I feel like if you were to recast Scarlett Johansson as Jason Bourne,
I'd go see that movie.
like
Oh, yeah, no
she's
problem.
an amazing action hero. Like
You know, I'll tell you who I want to see: Florence Pugh as Jason Bourne.
I'm not there yet. I'm not
Oh,
there yet with
really?
her.
Right there
I'm
with
not.
you.
I like her.
So-
I'm not there yet with
she
her.
was so good.
No, she was great.
Yeah.
She was great, but I still I feel like Scarlett Johansson has earned her way to be up there in that Jason Bourne. Like
I
people,
agree.
they say, okay, yeah, Black Widow's a good movie, but they're still, because it's, I don't know if it's a male female thing or
Right.
we are just more comfortable seeing men as action heroes. I
Right.
mean, whatever. But you're going to be like, well, what about James Bond? Well, what about Jason Bourne? But I feel like everything in this movie between those two women, jumping out of planes,
Mhm.
jumping off of motorcycles, smacking each other, punching each other in the face, like shooting people. And it was almost all women.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just thought, and I didn't feel like it was, okay, this is an all female movie. It's being shoved down my throat. No, it was totally legit.
Right.
The way they set up the movie, and it's hardcore feelings in the beginning of this movie
Yeah.
Mhm.
because, I mean, if you think about it, and I didn't really think about it before, because when you're thinking about comic book stories, thinking about super movies, trying to think about all the fun, right?
Right.
But when you think about Black Widow legitimately, and then they show you she became Black Widow because she was a part of child trafficking.
Right.
Like once you see that, you're like, oh yeah, that is her story.
Yeah.
But we don't think about that when we're watching all the other movies because we're thinking about all the fun of Marvel.
Right.
But her character is a dark, dark character.
Mhm.
And her, quote unquote sister were stolen. They were put
Yeah.
through child trafficking rings with all of these other women. And I have to tell you, here's a statistic that I looked up. Women or females are actually trafficked more than males.
Oh,
And
I
so this
believe
is
that.
something
Yeah.
that happens all the time. And so for them to really show that in such a vulnerable and naked state for the first, I want to say 30 minutes of the movie, they go
Right.
in and out of that and how it happened. I was impressed.
Mhm.
I just want to give Marvel a huge high five for jumping into that because they didn't have to.
Right.
This went in some directions and had some moments in it that I think we have seen very rarely, or if at all, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially since it was purchased by Disney and,
Right.
and run by Disney, which is
Mhm.
the vast majority of it, right? I mean,
Right.
that's really anything past Captain America: First Avenger is
Yeah.
Disney-fied.
Right. Right.
But this really went, I mean, with the human trafficking piece, but even at the end where she's facing off against the big bad,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, he's punching her in the
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I can't believe that this is a Marvel
Yeah.
/ Disney
Mhm.
movie.
The only one I want to compare that to is Captain Marvel when they're fighting in the beginning of the movie and he does punch
The
her.
Jude Law.
But Jude Law does punch her, but they show that he's going for the punch and they show that she flies.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, I'm super impressed that
Mhm.
they put them on the same level
Right.
of we're going to sit and spar here and I can punch a girl in the face and I can punch a guy in the face and because we are equal. I was so impressed with that. And then you jump to Black Widow and they just 100 times blow that up.
I love the rawness of the fights
Yes.
in this film.
Yeah.
It felt the most grounded to me of all of the films in terms of it felt real. Like
Yeah.
it didn't feel like and I think it's great too because Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson, their first scenes together,
Yeah.
were the scenes in Budapest
Yeah.
where they're
Yeah.
fighting each other.
You mean
and they're like,
Budapest?
Budapest.
Budapest or
Excuse me,
Budapest? Budapest.
Budapest.
I love that. Like
Budapest,
you still
Budapest.
have all the comedy of Marvel.
Right.
Yes.
Like you still have all of that cheekiness, especially with some of the other characters, but it is a little more grounded
Mhm.
it does feel more real. It feels
Yeah.
less superhero-y
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
more of an
And I
action
think a lot of
reality
that is
movie.
because this is a character that does not have any superpowers.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, she is a heck of an assassin. She's highly trained, but she doesn't
Yeah.
have any supernatural abilities.
And when you think about it, like these things are happening right now.
Yeah.
There are people that are being trained
right,
as killers right
Mhm.
now in the world.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
so when you
And
sit back and think
and
about,
taking children to become
yes,
killers.
yeah. And so there are a lot of like, again, it's not thrown like in your face or shoved down your throat, but if you sit and really analyze this movie and think about it, there's a lot more realness to this movie
Mhm.
than we kind of want to
Yeah, we
actually
don't wanna
think about. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Mhm.
But
Like, we like this being in the
kudos-
Marvel Cinematic Universe where we can say, well, that's
well, we destroyed
Marvel,
the Red
it's
Room,
not.
so it's over.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so but I love it because it is, and I love the fact that they brought. I wasn't sure where the story was going to go.
Right.
I wasn't sure where the timeline was going to take place, and that's why I was a little iffy. Like I was excited, but at the same time, I was like, "She's dead, man."
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what are they going to do with this story? The story, this
Mhm.
movie should have been made 4 or 5 years ago.
Exactly.
And it wasn't because they weren't sure what to do. And then Wonder Woman came out, and then they tried with Captain Marvel, and those were
didn't.
great. So yeah, we'll make this movie now, but I don't think she should have had to prove herself to make this movie. I think we would have
Totally
gone to
agree.
see it no matter what, but we get it now. I'm happy to have it. And I really like where they put her in this timeline after
Mhm.
Civil War, before Infinity War. And they do, there's a lot of Easter eggs that tie into everything that Disney Plus is doing right now.
Right.
So they really are wrapping everything up really nicely to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they did the best job that they could, but I'm so with you. If this, I enjoyed the movie. I think I would have enjoyed it more had it come out previously.
Mhm.
If it had come out before the Infinity Saga,
Mhm.
I think, like, if it had come after Civil War,
Yeah.
it would have been perfect.
Like, I feel like Marvel has had some balls, but I think they would have had bigger balls if they would have just released her movie without.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, yeah, Black Panther, that huge balls, Black Panther, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean,
it was
Black
surprising.
Widow deserved her movie sooner.
It was surprising how slow Disney has been, or Marvel has been, or both of them have been getting on this, getting behind a female-led superhero movie. I mean, you look at Captain Marvel, didn't even come out until after Infinity War.
Yeah.
And now we're getting Black Widow. And Black Widow after Iron Man 2, she should have, I mean, been one of the next ones that they made.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
but we have it, and I enjoyed it. The action scenes were amazing.
Very well done.
The action scene where they're over the prison.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get, what do they call the suit? What's
the Crimson
Dynamo?
The Crimson Dynamo.
No, it's Red Guardian is who he is, but she calls him Crimson Dynamo, and which is a different character. Crimson Dynamo was the Russian version of Iron Man. Red Guardian's the Russian version of Captain America.
Right. So Red Guardian, and I have to say, he is fantastic. He is the over-the-top superhero character in this movie. So if you're looking for that over-the-top, that comedy that's happening all the time, he's just oblivious to anything that's outside of his own brain. So he is kind of like the Iron Man version. But what I really want to see, I want to see him have to be in a room with Captain America, because I don't think he'll be that tough guy. No. I think he will kiss Captain America's sweet American butt.
Yeah. But the good news is his Red Guardian suit does still fit.
I mean,
although the scene where
we all had the moment when he put that on, like we felt that because we all went through the pandemic and we all tried something.
It's even better seeing post-pandemic than it would have been before the pandemic.
Yeah, because it wouldn't have been as funny.
Like,
but it was so.
I was having flashbacks to The Incredibles during that scene.
Yes,
yes, it was very reminiscent of that. And really, that family relationship is where this ties in with our theme this month of Reunited Feels So Good.
Yes.
Right. We're not just talking about this because it's a movie that came out, although that's probably our main motivation because we all went and saw it. But this does fit in with our theme because they are a family unit at the beginning, and then they're separated.
And then we realize they're a fake family.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I loved is, whereas Black Widow is so controlled with her emotions, and she is so anti-giving people access to her. Like, she keeps people at a distance. Whereas Florence Pugh's character, Yelena, is kind of like a wide open book. Like, she wears her heart on her sleeve. And I love when they're having the conversations where she's like, okay, but that was my childhood. That was real to me. And those scenes I thought were the scenes with her and David Harbour talking in the bedroom. And okay, I'm going to get the hate mail.
I think the Karl Urban flight just went in my mouth.
Did you eat Karl Urban?
No.
And I didn't eat it. It's gone, but stupid Karl Urban fly.
Wow.
Do we have that on video? Can you cut that out and make that a slow-mo gif for later? Like Karl Urban flying into your mouth?
I'll see what I can do.
This is the
because that's a moment I'm going to want to relive for the
I
rest of my life.
It.
Well, that's great.
You may not, but everyone else wants to see this.
Do whatever you want.
You know our listeners want to see this. We need the floating Jake head with the fly flying in. That's what we need.
We need a Karl Urban fly T-shirt. That's what we need.
Yeah, I won't. I do agree with you on that. But you were going to say something.
I was going to say, I'm going to get the hate mail on this episode because I am not a big fan of Stranger Things.
I'm not either.
Okay.
I've watched one episode and then I was like, do I have to continue to watch this?
I think there are plenty of people that don't necessarily enjoy Stranger Things.
It just didn't click with me.
It just doesn't fit with me. And I love nostalgia and I love the 80s and all that. And the kid actors are great.
Yeah.
The actors are fantastic.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big David Harbour fan in that series either. And so I was very hesitant on how he'd be in this one. He kind of surprised me. I'm like, all right, because I
didn't even know he was in Stranger Things. So
I think he's great in Stranger Things personally. Like he's one of my favorite characters because he kind of takes on this father figure role for 11 and just does a really good job in his role. But I think he's a fantastic actor, and so I was excited to see him in this, even though I was kind of with you, Val. I didn't know what we were going to get with a Black Widow movie because I didn't know what story they were going to tell at this point in her timeline.
I thought that was actually her family. I was kind of surprised that turned out to be a fake. It makes perfect sense once we know that.
Well, and I think it makes all of what they did to set that up makes everything that she did in Endgame like that much more meaningful.
Absolutely.
And I know we would have felt the same way if we would have seen this first and then seen her do what she did in Endgame, and we would have been like, oh, dang. But I think seeing it this way, the opposite way, as we're watching it, we're like, oh, like that makes everything she did that much more emotional for us. But I do think in this movie that she did act a little more vulnerable than she does when she's with her counterparts in the MCU. And so I did like that about her, because she did have some quiet moments. And you do see it like in Endgame, you do see that she's kind of breaking through with feelings a little bit more when she's trying not to cry when she's eating the sandwich, you know, and she's there just trying to be there for her friends. Like you see this kind of, okay, I'm okay with loving the family that I have, that, you know, that I have formed. And so when you watch this and how the family she thought was her family was formed, you know, you understand the hardness of her, and then you understand why her MCU family is so important to her. So I love how they tied all of that in together. And again, I just can't get over, like, the action scenes were amazing. Every time, every action scene. Rachel Weisz, who is not in a lot of movies either.
That's like Mary Louise Parker that we talked about last week.
Like,
I'm like, why is Rachel Weisz not in more
She used
films?
to be, I feel like for a while she was in a lot, and then there was a long time where she took a break, and I was so happy to see her back, and I love that she was a good character and a bad character. Like she played both sides in this movie a little bit, and she's just kicked butt. I want to see more of her in the MCU. Karl Urban is not dead.
Yeah, so
Urban is not
he had friends apparently, and that's who I swallowed was one of his friends. It's not swallowed. I didn't
This
actually.
This is a fly-friendly
fly.
show. We're not harming any flies in the making of movies that make us.
I really enjoyed the action sequences as well, and I did love how they sprinkled in the humor and the way that they did it, because in a movie like this, sometimes that humor can be lost, and Marvel does it really well in some of their movies. I think in Winter Soldier is another one, especially, and then in Civil War, especially when you've got like Falcon and Winter Soldier kind of interacting in there, you can see that chemistry that's there. Some of the stuff between Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson, like when she's going over, like, why do you do that thing, you know, with your
yes, I love it. She's flicking her. And then she does it, and she's like, I can't.
Yeah, disgusting.
I can't. Like, the superhero landing.
When they're over the prison and they're busting, you know, David Harbour's character out, and she jumps out of the helicopter and does the pose, and she's like, poser, and then like flies away, and like those are the moments that but
those are
really
like the
enjoy.
sister that's what your sister would do, or your brother would do, is they would just constantly, you know,
make fun of you
because you're not some superhero to them. You're just their sister, but also that just is super important to her. And so I loved how they just kept creating, like, no, we are a family. Yeah, you know, you're my sibling.
The other scene that I loved in that same vein is when they're plotting as to what they're going to do to take down the Dmitri. Is it Dmitri? I can't remember. The
Dreykov or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, when they're sitting there,
it's
and they're
usually
having
a Dmitri.
You're
like,
fine. It might be fun. You know, could be dangerous. Could be, you know, but could be fun. And then they're like clinking the beer glass. It was just that little moment that, like you said, that,
or the moment when they're sitting at the table and the pig comes in.
I was just gonna bring that up. Like, that was super powerful when they basically compared these women that they are brainwashing to pigs, to animals.
That was really
when she was like showing how she could just make this pig die.
Yeah, that wasn't the funny part I was going for.
No, but like it was super powerful.
Yeah, it was.
But then
really
when that pig comes, she's like, "Okay, time for you to go home." You know.
Oh, he had 11 seconds of oxygen left.
Yeah, but I love when the pig comes in and she's like, "Good job, Alexi," and he was like, "You named a pig after me."
Reminding me of the Indiana Jones.
Yeah, you named him after the dog.
Named after the dog. I love that dog. But yeah, there are some great moments, and that is a very powerful thing that the women.
I was like, dang,
and that's why I was so glad to see a woman director.
Yes,
I think a female wrote the screenplay. I'd have to look it up, but I think that she did. But it's moments like that, whereas a male director wouldn't really make that kind of connection.
Yeah.
And those moments become powerful, like when she's in the room with the guy, and the masks are off and she goes to punch him and she can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that moment lands and it hits and you
Yeah.
start thinking, what it could represent and everything else. And I'm not in a position that I could relate to it personally, but like it hit me powerfully and I can only imagine how it wouldn't have.
Yeah. No matter how powerful you think you are, there's always a man more powerful that you have no ability to touch. Yeah. I mean, it's so much messaging that, again, I like it that they don't shove it down your throat. This isn't a political movie at all.
Right.
But this is a movie, when you're done watching it, if you sit and think about everything you just saw, it's super powerful for everything that it represents. And a lot of it is not far-fetched from stuff that's happening right now.
Right.
And maybe they couldn't have made that movie 4 or 5 years ago.
Maybe so.
Maybe it wouldn't have been as powerful because, we weren't in the same place that we were right now. But I enjoyed it. I'm glad we have it. But again, I feel like it's such a good combination of action film, serious, undertones, and then that comedy, that MCU, kind of stuff that comes in.
Well, and it's interesting too, because we talked earlier about how the film is so grounded, and it really is for the first 2/3.
Yeah.
And then the final third, they're like, throw everything at the wall. And I'm like, it's so interesting to me. I'm like, okay, I can believe that you're kidnapping these children.
Yeah.
You're brainwashing them like you did the original Scarlett Johansson character.
Yeah.
And I was okay with chemical altering with the Florence Pugh character.
Yeah.
For some reason, I could not get over the olfactory thing.
The pheromone thing.
The pheromone thing. I'm just like, you took it a little too far for me, especially when she's like, you gotta sever the nerve. And she severs the nerve by just hitting her face into the table. I'm like,
yeah, and I feel like she's hit her face that hard numerous times. Do you know what I mean? Like she's been in a lot of fights and battles where she's been thrown around.
And maybe my biology's odd, but I can't imagine.
But again, that's the superhero part of it, right? That's the superhero part of it.
But that to me is the part where I was like,
I just thought it was great. I thought it was funny. I thought it was fun and great because it's something that you would read in a comic book.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that was, again, they have this good sprinkling of,
but at the same time, it is ridiculous the lengths that some women have to go to get ahead and get past the oppression and everything else.
Yeah.
Like it is ridiculous. And it is laughable that it has to be that stupid.
I was like, that part just didn't quite work for me, but I loved that when she couldn't hit him and she's trying to goad him into hitting her. I love that section. I thought that was great. But
the big villain that we thought we were getting was Taskmaster, and we get Taskmaster kind of. It's a very different version than what we've seen in the comics and other media, and I think it works in the context of the story, but now I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of Taskmaster again in the future.
It's kind of a boring character. To be honest.
I kind of wished that, because I do think it was powerful on her story, her ledger of what she did to get rid of him. She knowingly had to kill his daughter. So to me, I was like, okay, that's the Natasha that she struggles with inside of herself all the time. Am I Natasha today? Am I Black Widow today? I had to kill a kid. But then to find out that the kid didn't die and that her dad turned her into this drone, this ultimate killing drone.
Right.
And then at the end, it was kind of nice that all the women came together and they helped Taskmaster out. But I kind of wish that Taskmaster would have gotten away and not had been turned by the potion, because we would have gotten more of that angst and that fight later, because that would have been a really great opposite for Florence's character now that she's going in a different direction.
Yeah. Val made her big screen debut in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this is the part we have nobody around it, so I want to make sure we don't, because this is
the credit scene.
But I think it's interesting because Val was supposed to make her debut on the big screen since the pandemic. Then Winter Soldier and Falcon
came out earlier, and so she
thought, so that's where she made her debut.
But I think it was a little more powerful this way because we understood who she is now and what she's doing.
Right.
She's on the other side, and so she's taking Black Widow's sister with all of that angst and and hurt, and she's bringing her to the opposite side that her sister was on. And just think if Taskmaster would have gotten away, that would have been another angle that they could have brought in. So I almost as much as that was a sweet moment, I kind of think they just kind of threw a character away.
Yeah,
they kind of pulled a DC on that.
Yeah. Man, it's never good when we compare anything MCU to DC.
It's still way better than anything that they have, but what I'm saying is they had this big character that a lot of people, and Ty from Multiplane Podcast, he's been waiting for Taskmaster. He also thought that the end scene was going to be something that led into something totally different. So I had to text him right after the movie and say, you're going to hate this movie all the way through. And he's all, even the extra scene, I said, you're going to hate that the most. Because he thought it was going to be something else.
Can we say
he thought it was going to lead into Doctor Strange. Something extraterrestrial.
Gotcha.
Or out into the universe and space.
I would have felt really out of place.
It felt like this was the only way they could go.
I love Ty and I love hearing his viewpoints. I think I'm glad I'm not the kind of fan that Ty is. Not that I think there's anything wrong with the kind of fan, because he digs so deep and he speculates so much about what's coming next. I like to just kind of be, this might happen. Oh no, I'm pleasantly surprised. And
you're not disappointed.
And I think that would be frustrating for me. But I enjoy listening to his viewpoints because I think he brings up some great stuff.
I mean, he brings up things that I never would have thought of that makes me see a whole different side of things. I can't wait to talk Loki with him because he made his impressions and his views made me like oh my gosh,
Sylvie?
No.
Owen Wilson.
Get out of Loki and go to WandaVision. He made me enjoy. No, I'm sorry. Just there's some kind of cloud up there.
Do you have that movie with that one actor?
Do you have that? But I'm trying to give you clues and you guys won't shut up. No, he made me like WandaVision way more than I thought I would because he gave me an insight of things that I had no idea to look for. So I do love that we have these different perspectives. But I was talking to Tracy before we went live with this, is that I feel like watching all of these series on Disney Plus has made us all realize what kind of Marvel fan we are. I have realized I'm more of the Earth-based Marvel fan heroes. I love the Captain Americas, the Winter Soldiers, the Falcon, the Black Widow. And I'm not saying I don't like the other ones, but I really enjoy those storylines more than I do the out of this universe stories. And I like all of them, but I have realized what kind of fan I am. Before I was just an MCU fan, and I still am. Realized I really do dig the stories that they've been doing about the Earth-based superheroes.
I'm trying to figure out which one I am, because
I'm the Marvel fan that likes to be surprised. I
totally do as well.
An unusual direction.
But even for years, because Marvel's done this in the comics for a really long time. What you're describing, Val, where you've got the Earth base, you've got your Avengers, you've got your X-Men, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy, the cosmic stuff, and so I'm trying to think comic book wise what I enjoy and Marvel movie what I enjoy, and it's hard because there are certain aspects from each of them that I like, but I think I'm more along with you, Val. I like the Earth-based stuff because I really like the Captain America storyline. I really like Falcon and Winter Soldier more than I've enjoyed Loki, and it's not that I haven't enjoyed Loki. But
see, and it's interesting because I felt like Falcon and Winter Soldier is the weakest of the Disney Plus so far.
Wow!
This is why we're not friends anymore. Just kidding, we are. There's always room.
That just happened.
Yeah, there's always room for different opinions.
You just saw on camera.
There's always room for wrong opinions, is what he wanted to say.
Yeah, but I refrained. I left the wrong.
I didn't say I didn't enjoy it. I just said that that's my least favorite of the three.
Yeah, and I liked it because it gave me more of what I was looking for in a story that I wanted more from. And so I think what's great is that we all take something different from these shows. But I love how they're taking all of these different stories and they are just wrapping them up into the MCU. I can't wait to see Doctor Strange. I can't wait to see Spider-Man. And now that Black Widow wasn't a big stinker, because I mean, let's be real, guys. We were waiting for this movie to be stinky, right?
Yeah, and I think the waiting for a long time, the anticipation and everything else kind of made me worry that it wasn't going to be very good.
The thing that gave me hope was that Disney could have just put this on Disney Plus And the fact that they held out, to me, I was going, okay, that means that they think they've got something.
Well, and I think that Black Widow deserved it. She deserved her big.
It's like with Pixar, where they were like, well, how come Cruella gets Disney Plus premiere access, but we have to just be regular streaming? Why aren't Raya and the Last Dragon gets theatrical and Disney Plus? Why aren't we getting that? And I kind of feel like that would have been the same with, you have your big superhero female-led movie.
Yeah.
And
I hope that
Disney
they
Plus.
will release Mulan in theaters, because I think that movie was made for a big screen. And I think I will like it more seeing it on a big screen. I thought it was fine watching it in my backyard. But I definitely think that one deserved it. But again, this is such a weird time,
It is.
you know, and especially they had to pick and choose, but also they have to still make money and they have to keep people interested. And so them having to decide, like, do we keep Mulan from everyone that wants it, or do we give it to them? And they gave it to us when we wanted it, you know. But I do hope that a lot of the movies that were only streamed during the pandemic, I do hope that they have, like, even a couple weeks, like special screenings of things.
It'll be interesting a few years from now to look back on this time, because I feel like there are certain, I really enjoyed Luca and I think it was a really cute movie.
Yeah.
But I'm worried that it's going to end up being the next The Good Dinosaur from Pixar, where it wasn't.
I love The Good Dinosaur.
I do too.
But I didn't need to see it.
Overlooked because it came out the same year, I think, as Inside Out.
Inside Out.
I think so, yeah.
And so because it came out that same year, it got so overlooked and people just forget about it. But it's actually really good.
Yeah.
And I think Luca fits in that same category.
Yeah, I do too. And it's just because they had to have so many things out that they didn't plan having out at the same
Soul
time.
Too. I think if Soul had been able to come into theaters, I think it would have gotten a much more appreciated.
I mean, it was nominated for a lot of stuff.
It was, but being nominated versus the idea of public opinion, when you're talking Pixar films, to me, Soul should be up there in the upper echelon, and I don't necessarily think that.
I think there's a lot of people that won't put it there because they missed it.
Yeah,
right.
And so it'll be interesting to see how these movies fit later. I'm hoping though that Black Widow does turn things around at theaters where people start changing their mindset. And again, it is a weird time, and I know that, and you've got to do what you feel comfortable with. If going to a packed theater right now is not in your comfort zone, then don't do it, and we're not going to encourage you to do it. But if it is, then go see this movie in the theater.
Yeah, so I saw this last night in the theater, and it was my first time having somebody right next to me that isn't part of my group.
Yeah.
And I realized
she took her feet out.
She took her shoes off.
Gross.
And she reclined.
You're not at home, people. Leave your feet in your shoes. Come on. And even if you're wearing flip flops, like keep it in the shoes.
I realized my people tolerance level has diminished.
Right.
I'm like, no, I was really kind of frustrated by that.
I feel like people don't know how to people in public anymore, because a lot of people during these screenings and stuff, or even I was at a comedy show over the 4th of July weekend in Vegas, and people were talking so loud. And they
talk during the film,
because they're used to being at home and watching everything at home, and then talking to whoever they're with. And I have to admit, when I'm at home watching a movie with Dave, we'll talk about the movie the whole time, and then we go to a screening, and Dave will still try and make those funny things to me, and I said, "Don't make me
that's
disinvite
the Tom Cruise
you."
Fly. That was the
Tom Cruise
almost
almost went up my nose.
It's it's allegedly a small fly. It might be a mosquito.
But I've had to do babe, I don't want to uninvite you to these. I love you, and let's talk about it later. But when I'm here at a screening, I am here to do a job. But I also, when you're in a theater, whispering every once in a while, something is fine. Don't have full on conversations with people in a movie. Don't be on your phone in a movie or at a concert for that matter.
Right.
Just we need to learn how to people again. And my tolerance for people also is, I think we're all right there. We're all just kind of edgy about other people being in our space. And I think if we all recognize that we're all coming from the same place and we all just kind of, slowly
a little bit of patience.
A little bit of patience, a little bit of kindness goes a long way. But I definitely, this movie was a big surprise for me. I enjoyed it.
I saw it on a bigger screen. I think I enjoyed it more on a bigger screen. We talked before the Tomorrow War briefly. I feel like I would have enjoyed that more. On a
because I enjoyed watching it at home, but watching it on the big screen.
A different I think if I had watched this at home on
when the
Disney
sequel
Plus,
to Morrow War,
the number two
Morrow War comes out, it'll be on the
We're
big
starting
screen.
a petition to make sure that that's the name of the movie.
Let's get Chris
I
Rum
do
Ruff.
think, though, after all of like these things we've been talking about, like the arm thing and the like thing, I feel like movies that make us, we need a thing.
We need our own thing.
We need our own signal, like that we don't have to say our name. We just do the thing and everybody knows that's us. And so when we show up to like a con, we can all like do our thing and then everybody in the audience does their thing. I'm thinking that we're way more popular than we are, by the way. In my mind, we have hundreds of people that would do this with us.
The grand ballroom with us.
Yeah.
not the room in the very back.
I'm okay with the 250.
Palace.
I'm okay with it's the top shelf 250. That's the bigger room, right? I'm okay with that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're probably in like the back cubicle wall.
Still, if we can get 5 people, me too. Me too. I'm so excited we're doing FanX.
I am going to wear my mask on the convention floor though, because with that many people, and I typically get con crud anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing a mask on the floor
again. Yeah,
it's all what you want to do.
When I am in agreement with doing stuff like that because I think we've learned more about. Honestly, last year, it's not that I didn't go out places because I had to go out places and I did go out places, but I wore a mask. And not only did I, fortunately, not get COVID, but I also didn't get very sick last year.
Yeah.
I normally get the colds and the gross flu type stuff every year, even though I get a flu shot and I do all that. And I think part of that is because I was thinking about, sanitizing my hands. I was thinking about wearing a mask. Things like that. And so I'm all for it. We've learned how to do things differently to stay healthier. And so I think it's fine when we talk about going to a new normal and everybody gets all, no, I want everything to go back. It's stupid to go back to the way everything was when we
just want to be oblivious
and we move forward. So I'm all for it.
I will wear a mask if you make me a Karl Urban fly mask where I just have the fly.
We've got to get this on a T-shirt or something, and we've got to get a shop up.
But I want the fly, the Karl Urban fly on the mask.
Doesn't she have like the fabric cricket or whatever you?
The cricket.
Cricket.
Yeah. It's pronounced like a little bug, but it's not spelled like a little bug. Yeah.
I didn't know if it was cricket or cricket.
It's cricket. She does, but I think our fans want a shirt that says something about Karl Urban fly on it.
I want one of those.
Yeah,
Tom Cruise just went in my nose. Can I get one?
Yeah, Tom Cruise just went in my nose. I mean, that's something I want on a T-shirt.
I just swallowed Karl Urban
with a Karl Urban face on it. That's what we need.
Somebody make that happen for us.
Any of our artist friends out there.
I'm sure Dave could draw something up.
So I love being at the Megaplex because we've got movie previews going, and I just am looking at Clifford the Big Red Dog, and I just am thinking, why are we making this movie? And you know what? I'm probably going to see it with my kids and love it in the end. But
you're going to cry.
Right now,
you know you're going to cry.
I am. That's
Something's going to happen, and you're going to cry. Do you want me to take you to that
screening
screening so you can cry
again
before you see it with your kids?
Can you imagine if it ends like Old Yeller with Clifford the Big Red Dog?
That's huge. That's a huge mound of dead dog.
Parents taking their kids and like, we don't. It'd be interesting. All right, let's give this movie a grade. And again, it's hard to talk about it too much and too loudly because we don't want to spoil a whole lot for people. But I think we've gotten.
And we're gonna pitch a panel for FanX where we can really get in depth with this, and you guys can join us. So hopefully they'll pick that one for us to do, and you guys can come and we can have this conversation in person.
Yeah, it'll be in the grand
I like
ballroom.
the idea that your panel idea is not just the superhero. It's not just the movie.
Yeah, I really want to. I want to deep dive into every visual thing that we saw, the meanings of it. Like, I want to deep dive into this because we can do surface nerd stuff all day long.
Sure.
But why don't we do something else?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and we're movie people, and we should be ones that we can go to a panel and talk about movies more in depth than just being, surface nerds about it. Like, I thought it was really cool that this character.
The cinematography was really fantastic.
That's rude. Nerds don't sound like that, and I'm sorry that I did that.
You kind of do
voice.
sometimes.
I do sometimes. It's fine.
We're making fun of ourselves right now.
I know, and that's fine.
I see myself more of a geek. I think geek is pop culture, whereas nerd I tend to think of like math and science.
Yeah.
There's flags on parade over here that I'm seeing. Sorry, I know you guys can't see it, but there's like a bunch of kids with flag jerseys.
And I'm trying to figure out why.
I mean, why not? Do you need a reason? They have numbers, so I'm assuming that
They must
maybe
be
they're
part
a
of some
team
team.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the handball national team for the U.S.
But I do think it's interesting.
Pickleball.
They practice at Valley Fair. It's fun. Pickleball. Yes.
I got to
I'm here
try
for
that.
it.
I got to try that one of these days just because it looks so weird.
And
the name. I have a sales rep in Texas who wants to invite different brokers to talk insurance with her, and they go to a place called the Chicken and Pickle.
Oh.
And they serve fried chicken and play pickleball. And I'm like,
at the same time, that's greasy.
Mm-hmm.
You drop the ball,
right?
Or the chicken.
That seems unsafe.
That seems unsanitary. Really, there's grease everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I don't think that this is a true Marvel Phase 5 movie. It definitely feels like a 4, and they're trying to spin it about how it's launching us into it. And I'm like,
it feels kind of like a Rogue One because we know people die.
Right.
It's also a little darker, a little grittier, and a little more real.
Comparison.
So yeah. So my grade for this one, I know people I even got told this on ABC4. Do you ever give anything an A? I do give things an A.
And if they listen to our show, they would hear you give
right,
things
exactly.
an A.
Recently, we had a AAA movie.
I know. I've got to go find all the ones and make a playlist that's our AAA rated.
But this is the thing. A B is not a bad grade for a movie. A B is a really good grade, and I give this movie a solid B. I probably would have given it a B plus if it would have come out a little bit sooner. And I know that's awful, but the movie was great. There were a couple parts of the movie where I do think they were playing it safe a little bit. But there were enough parts of the movie where I thought it was super relevant. I loved how it flowed right into the cinematic universe. And I loved how they kept her character. They didn't make it like a Captain America movie. They didn't make it an Iron Man movie. They stuck with, it's a Black Widow movie. She is a totally different kind of superhero. And I love it. Excuse me. And if you're not into feminism or, female being the big bulk of the movie, I feel like in this movie they don't shove it down your throat, where I have seen movies in the past where they really, really make sure that that this movie is all about woman power.
Right.
And it just takes away from the movie that you're watching. This is not that movie at all.
And I agree. I feel that Captain Marvel did that, for example.
A little bit.
Where it
yeah.
pushed it a little bit harder than this one does.
Yeah.
And I think that's what turned off some people to it. Now, I don't.
And
have
if
a
I were to
problem
put
with
that movie ahead with
whatever.
this one, I would definitely give. You know what? I'm just going to change my grade. I'm giving this movie a B plus.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm changing it. Right. It's a B plus for me.
This is the technical process we go through giving grades, folks. This is it. You're seeing it unfold right here.
I'm going to go B. I'm with you. I think I would have gone higher if this had been released right after Civil War. It's good. I enjoyed it. I don't know that I'm necessarily clamoring to see it again. I mean, I'm sure I will, but it's not one of those where I'm like, get everybody I know and we're going. Wonder Woman, the very first Wonder Woman, I was like, okay, best superhero origin story since the original Richard Donner Superman.
And then they made Wonder Woman 2 and
then
crapped on the whole thing.
So it's very much like the Superman movies. I love Superman 2. It's got a soft spot in my heart.
No, but Wonder Woman 2 is a big pile of steaming poo.
Not good. Yeah. But I thought the actors were great. I love Florence Pugh. Once I saw her in Midsommar, I'm like, this girl's going places. I bet you she wins an Academy Award in the next 5 years, or is at least nominated.
When you started saying that, I thought you were going to mean for this movie. I thought, she was good, but not Oscar good in this.
I loved how feisty she was and how just kind of smart alecky and the little sister type of thing. I think Rachel Weisz is always a pleasure. David Harbour was a pleasant surprise. The action scenes, the only thing that I had an issue is it was like one of those fast edits on a lot of the fight scenes. And I personally like the longer scene where I can watch the fight actually develop and not develop through the edit. But that's me. I'm going to go B. A solid, good film. Go check it out.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a B plus. And I said this, I gave a quick review on TikTok. That's right. I'm hip like that.
Woo.
And I said that I would probably put this outside of Infinity War and Endgame. Taking those out of the equation, I'd probably put this in my top 3 Marvel movies with Winter Soldier and Thor Ragnarok.
Mm-hmm.
But I put a disclaimer on it, and I'll put it here as well. I don't know if the reason that I feel that way is because it's been so long since I've been in an MCU movie in a theater.
Right.
And I think seeing it that way made me feel that way.
And that's totally
And I don't know if
understandable.
I revisit it, even on the small screen or even again on the big screen, if I'm going to feel like, I can see a little bit more of the holes in this. And so I know I'm looking through those kind of rose-colored glasses right now, but I still really enjoyed this movie. And honestly,
I did too.
if I sat down and I watched this and Thor Ragnarok and Winter Soldier, that would be a great afternoon. I wouldn't complain.
And I loved your idea of the sandwich, doing Civil War, Black Widow, Infinity Saga. That's going to take you up a whole day, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, you got nothing else to do. Let's be real.
If I want a Black Widow sandwich to follow up my fly lunch that I had just a few minutes ago, that's a great sandwich to have.
See, that was the appetizer. The sandwich is the meal.
And we are tying it all together.
And we just want to let you know that it actually smells really good and nothing like flies here at the Megaplex. They've got the food behind us, and it's been taunting me the whole time. Like, you can come to a movie and get a full freaking meal.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, get nachos or...
I feel like they've got the pizza going right now. They've got like a fancy coffee machine.
They do.
I'm telling you, like, Megaplex is one of the best places to go see a movie in the whole valley. And you guys, there's one close to you wherever you are in Salt Lake, or even up into Ogden and down into Orem. They're there. Go see a movie.
You can get a full meal. You can get like giant chocolate chip cookies that are warm out of the pizza oven. I mean, it's good. It's good times.
Thank you, Megaplex, for letting us hang out with you.
They set us up nice. We've got a table. Yeah. Got a whole area roped off.
They put a stanchion around us, thinking that fans were going to try and get in here.
Media bill. We're right there filming media recording today at Megaplex Theater. that is happening right now.
So they've treated us like we're a big deal, which we appreciate. We always like to be treated like we're a big deal, so we love it. And the another thing that I really love about Megaplex is they were one of the places that set up to do the COVID shots when they started that. And so they knew they had convenient locations all over the place. They set that up. They didn't have to give up their lobby. They didn't have to give up their space to do that, but they did that to support the community. And I think that's really cool.
Huge applause for that.
Yeah. Anyway, if you guys like Black Widow, let us know. If you hated it, let us know. I think this is one of those movies that there are going to be a certain audience that really hated this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter.
Which I don't feel is warranted.
Like, I'm just staying away from the hate, and I'm enjoying movies. I'm just staying away from all the hate. I feel like we've all, if we haven't learned during the pandemic that we should just come out every day and try and have a better outlook on life, and we'd be happier people. Like, I don't understand being negative all the time. So we can have an opposite opinion, but that doesn't mean that we're angry or we're hating. Right. But just to bash something, I feel like there's a whole counterculture of people that are just out there to bash every single Marvel movie or every Star Wars movie or every Disney movie. Yeah.
And honestly, this is
a lot of energy.
This is going to fit the bill for a certain people because it's female led and it's a main anyway. This is a great movie. Go see it. It's fun. You'll enjoy it.
She's a phenomenal actress.
Please support this female movie in the theaters so they'll make more.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like, this is a tricky time. I get it. But like, we had Fast and Furious that like just blew the box office out. Let's do that with Black Widow.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to see. I'm excited to see the numbers come Monday.
I'm crossing my fingers.
I'm hopeful.
And by the time this episode comes out,
it's another movie all about family. Totally different take.
Yeah.
But
and there's car chases.
Yes.
There were
explosions.
Dom would love this movie. It'll be good. He would love it. It's all about family. We know how he feels about family. I do. Thank you to Steph from Cutscenes and Cupcakes. I know all about family and how he feels about family.
We have to give congratulations to our friend Lindsay from Cutscenes and Cupcakes.
And
she just got engaged.
Yeah, and Marley did too.
Everybody's getting married or having babies.
They should change the name of their show to Cutscenes and Cupcakes and Wedding Bells because that's what it's becoming over there.
Yep. So. How many wedding bells do you give this?
Yeah, that's what they need to do. Great things in wedding bells.
Yeah.
That's what they needed. We're not going to do that.
No.
Even though we have a big wedding coming up later this year.
We sure do.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much for listening. You can follow us in all the places. We are at Movies Make Us on Twitter. We are at Movies That Make Us on Instagram. You can find our Facebook page, Movies That Make Us. We will put links to those in our description so you can find them. Thank you so much for your support. We'll see you at FanX, and we won't see you at the movies Unless we do, because you should come and see this movie.
And next week, Muppets Take Manhattan.
Muppets Take Manhattan as Reunited Feels So Good month continues on.
Reunited and it feels so good.
This has been a Stolen Droids Media production.